Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to Consciously Awesome Living. I'm your host, Sheila Applegate, and we are speaking about helping you to design your most brilliant life. But this episode, we are coming into the new year and we are going to talk about how to make believe a beautiful new year. So you're going to want to hit save on this one video afterwards, because this episode is going to be something you will want to turn back to throughout the year and will actually apply other years too. So make sure you save this one in somewhere where you'll find it easily. We are in 2022 and I am excited about this year because, well, I get excited about every new year, but 222, if we take away that zero, we have 222, and 222 for me has always meant serenity. If we then do numerology, we would add up those twos, and this would be a year of the 6, which means harmony. And don't you think we could all use a little serenity and harmony right now? Because we've been through some stuff. And I think this is time for us to feel that beautiful serenity and harmony. And that has a way of helping us lead into this idea of make believe a beautiful new year. So we're going to throw out our New Year's resolutions and instead we're going to try this. Make believe a beautiful new year. Now that term, make believe, has so many beautiful meanings. And I was listening to John Green from the Vlog Brothers. John Green is an author, and I'm sure you've probably read some of his books or seen some of the movies based on it. But the other day, he was talking about how when he writes, he loves it because he's always loved make believe. And the way he said it that time, I instantly knew what he meant on a level I had never even heard it before. He said, it's not just an idea of imagination, it's also a command, right? Make believe a beautiful new year. So make the belief come true. Make yourself believe it. So I thought it would be fun today to kind of explore what that would look like. We've talked about imagination and the visualization of what we desire and what we feel and what we want when we give ourselves over to it. I think meditation is one of my favorite ways to do make believing. But as a child, oh my goodness, I loved to make believe. That was my favorite thing. And my stuffed animals were alive. We were friends. They were alive. And in fact, I bet you I could still go communicate with them if I wanted to, because they had an essence, a spirit. I used to make potions in the backyard. And I thought about that the other day because the friend Jennifer Swender, who I made them with, she's now a fictional author and writes about childhood. And so it's just amazing to think back of the power we had as children. I moved on to be a healer. She moved on to be a fictional writer, a novelist. And here we were in our backyard making potions and creating a life. And I also remember back then that I actually saw into the future during those times, and I didn't know I was. I remember one time in our backyard, I was telling her about in the future how they were going to have this machine that could suck fat out of people's bodies. That was way before liposuction. And I think that's so wild because what it reminds me of is that when we make believe, then we make it believable, right? It comes true. We're putting our energy on it. So let's talk about just throwing out those New Year's resolutions. Have you, like every year, listed your resolutions? I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get healthier and more fit. I'm going to become rich. I'm going to change my career or expand it. I'm going to have that perfect partnership. Whatever those New Year's resolutions, or maybe you break them down into very doable acts. But how many times do they actually become the truth? How many times does that belief become a reality? What if we throw that out and we move to making believe it, imagining it, putting our attention on it? When we start moving our attention in this way, there's various aspects of that, but our mind, not just when we write it down or when we're thinking about it in the moment, we start to change our thought throughout all the day, all our daydreams, our minds wandering. When we go to sleep at night, we're not worrying about our concerns. We're putting our attention, we're make believing that life that we want, and it's coming alive. That's sort of what John Green was talking about in his video, which I will have posted for you. But he was talking about when he loves to write fiction because that's when his mind creates all these possibilities and he can sleep better because he's thinking about that instead of his worries. But not just that. Let's go through and make this practical, right? Because you already know how much I believe in imagination, but this is a little bit different because let's talk about career. Is career one of the intentions you would have for your New Year's resolution, or maybe finances? It works with that as well. One of the things with that is we're shifting our attention from behaving the way we behave now, hoping for something in the future, to behaving as if we are in the future. And I was thinking about that personally, how that's being important to me in every decision lately, because I have been doing this work for over, I think it's closer to 30 years now. And it's been me. For the most part, I've collaborated, but I've been a solopreneur. Now I have a team of 7 and we're moving things in different directions. I have to change my decisions from the way I was making business decisions to the way I will be making them when I reach the vision that I have, right? So if I make them based on where I am or where I was, I'm going to recreate the same thing. So for you, if it's with finances or with your career, one of the things to ask yourself is, how will I behave when I am in this position? If you're looking at changing into a position, who would I be in that career? What decisions would I be making at that point? And start to shift and apply those to your everyday life. That goes with prosperity or finances too. We can get caught in a lack mindset. We've talked about that. And when we do, we make decisions. I think there's a book. I didn't prepare that one. I don't know. I think it's Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad or something, but it talks about the different mindsets of how we make decisions when we're thinking from poverty and how we're making decisions when we're thinking from prosperity or abundance. So if you are wanting more money this year, and that's one of your New Year's resolutions, then one of the big steps is to make believe that you have it. And I'm not saying, go out and build a huge credit card debt, because that's not what a rich person would probably do, right? But you make your decisions based on the idea that the universe is always going to supply the needs you have. And so instead of stopping yourself at finances, you choose what is right for you. And when you choose what is right for you, the universe provides that for you. And so we're shifting that idea that everything's going to work out. My youngest child has always lived like life has just always worked out for Justin. And because of that, they go through life with a belief that it will happen, that it will work out. And I have a safety in knowing that their life is smooth because it just seems that way. They have that essence. And I sometimes do that. I think to myself, what would Justin do? And then I make believe myself from that space as well. So you can think about that. If there's someone in your life who is always just having things go right, why not use that? What would that person do? And then try to shift and make believe your life. Make believe your life. Let's talk about health and let's talk. Health is another one, right? I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to get more fit. This one, I want to tell you a little story about when I went to the acupuncturist this week. My acupuncturist is Dr. Chi, and yes, that's really his name. And he was talking just at the end of the session, he's been working with me because I have an autoimmune disorder. And he just had so much love and compassion. And he was like, your cells are just so scared. They have been protecting you and they've been attacked so many times that they're always on defense. They're always afraid that they have to do their job super well. And so they're overdoing. That's what an autoimmune disorder is. And that love and the thinking of my cells, and then make believing that I can talk to my cells, which really I do it all the time. They're getting their information from my thoughts, right? So if I'm thinking to my cells, we're safe. If I start doing the things that I like to do, that I'm afraid to do because I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt, that my body can't handle it anymore. I went horseback riding recently, which is something I hadn't done in a long time. It's really not that difficult to do, but my body, it's something that I loved, but I was just afraid my knees, my body wouldn't be able to handle it. So making choices of how I'm going to be, sometimes when I don't feel good, I think, well, do I need to nourish myself in sleep, rest, or do I just need to go do something fun and remind my body, my cells, that everything's okay? Now, you might have a different health issue, but how can you think about that from a way of, I'm going to choose this in a way that is behaving as if this has already happened. With weight, John Gabriel with the Gabriel method, and that book is at Beyond Words, who's a collaborator of Soulivity. John Gabriel does an incredible job of helping you make believe your body is the weight that you want it and getting your body to respond to that. So those are some of the things I know people really look at when they're thinking of the new year. And I'm challenging you to make believe in a new way. After this break, we are going to go visit one of the best make believers that have ever been on earth. So we'll be right back.
You can find all the Satonic products at our Go shop on Soulivity at go.soulivity.com now. Shop for beauty products, skincare, hair care. It is all there at the Go shop. Go shop Soulivity.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
Soulivity Magazine and Beyond Words Publishing want to remind you about the importance of continuing to follow public health guidelines to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Please continue to wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. Please visit these sites for further information about how to stay safe from COVID-19 into the new year. Remember, love protects us.
Welcome back. All right. I told you we would visit one of the best make-believers that I know. And if you are from the United States, you will definitely know who I am talking about. If not, hopefully you've heard of this beautiful soul who was the character of Mr. Rogers in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but is actually Mr. Rogers. So he was playing himself, Mr. Fred Rogers. Mr. Rogers, for those of you who don't know, had a children's show on public service television, and he was all about make-believe and really being gentle and beautiful with children. And he was a beautiful soul. There's a few documentaries and a movie out about him. But I am going to channel Fred Rogers. He is in the spirit world now, and he has come to me and through me a couple of times. So we are going to have a visit, or Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, is going to visit you and give us all just a beautiful little message of love, because he's always about love and about the years in front of us. So I will just be centering in, and then you will hear Fred Rogers as he flows through me. So it's always a little blend when someone is channeling. I surrender myself now to the vibration of all that is, welcoming the spirit, the soul, the energy of that being which we have known as Fred Rogers, that he may speak with me and through me for the guidance, support, and love of all who hear. And I give thanks. Well, hello, neighbor. It is wonderful to see you today. I love to spend time with my friends, and I always love a new year, because the new year is a special time that we can create together, and that we have a new chance to find happiness. Do you like to create? I like to create. I like to create with children, and I like to create with adults. I like to remind adults like you, maybe you were my friend when you were young, and maybe I am just reminding you of the times that we had together when we made toy trucks, or we visited the make-believe neighborhood with King Friday and Queen Saturday. All of my friends. Do you know that we were always creating with you? We were reminding you of all of the things that Sheila is saying today, and that many people have taught you. And they're really the things that will help you create the life that you want. But often we forget, because as grown-ups, a lot of grown-ups take life seriously. And I did work hard, but I had fun in everything I did. And you can have fun also. I know there aren't many of us who have gone ahead and lived with that child within us through all of life. But when we do this, we help others. And you have that in you too. And maybe now that you are a grown-up, you are afraid. You are afraid that you will make a mistake. But you know what? You can always fix your mistakes. And sometimes if you can't fix it yourself, you can get help. And maybe that mistake is even more important than you think. Maybe that mistake is going to be a retake, a chance to do something you didn't even know you could do. Maybe what you're trying to create is going to turn in a different direction, and you're going to create something else. And that will be even better. And I know that I'm talking to you, And maybe you're saying, why are you talking to me like I am a child? Does Mr. Rogers always talk like that? In some ways, people may say that. I kind of always held that energy of love because that was most important to me. And just like you know, I always like to listen to people. When I am listening, the person in front of me is the only person that matters. And right now, you're in front of me, and you matter. And can you imagine if all of us went around and we just listened to the person, really listened to the people around us, and asked for help when we needed it, and helped others? What if we pushed our desires to grow? What if we helped people in the world grow from a space of love instead of anger? What if we challenged people just by being ourselves, without an agenda, just doing what's right in each moment and letting that be the part of us that leads us forward? Can you imagine what the world would be like if we did that? Let's make believe now. Let's make believe that we know all our neighbors. Do you know your neighbors? Can you make believe that you do? Can you say, today I'm going to say hello to everyone I pass? Or at least as many as I can? If you live in a big city, it might be hard. But you can say hello, and you can make eye contact with people. I know it seems simple, but maybe this will help the world grow. What else would you like to do? Sometimes my heart got very heavy. Does your heart get heavy sometimes? Sometimes I would look around and I would see where the world was going. Maybe you've heard me talk about that before, but I could see ahead, and I could see a time maybe similar to where we are now in the world, where people were separated. Even more so now that you have been having to keep yourself safe, and that loving others sometimes means not seeing them. But I saw the world when it got so separate and fast, and I wanted to make sure to put my energy into that. And I put my energy into it, and I slowed everything down. And do you know that children today still like the shows I did back in the 60s, in the 70s? They do, because they like things to slow down. And do you know that sometimes when our mind isn't filled with so many things, that's when the most beautiful things take form in our mind? And when we are not cluttered or separated, we meet the people because we're paying attention. We're recognizing our neighbors. And in that space, we can look together at each other, at the world, and we can all bring in our special gifts, our special talents, and we can work together to create a beautiful neighborhood. And I think now the neighborhood is the whole world. And if we remember that the whole world is our neighborhood, how will we behave? I want you to have a beautiful year. And I know that I cannot tell you what your year will look like, but I can tell you that if you slow down and you focus on those things that are important to you, and you pay attention to the things and the people that are around you, and you do something that makes you happy and create a space for yourself and your imagination to grow, I know that this year will be a beautiful year for you. And I thank you for listening to me and for all the love that the world has poured on me. And I ask you to continue being your beautiful self, because that makes me proud. I give thanks to Fred Rogers, the beautiful soul and energy that blessed us on earth. And I ask that his words be heard from the hearts of each person that receives them. Wow. There you go. I hope that you felt his energy as well as the words that he says. I know for me, it's a blessing just to share my energy with him. And I bet you that if you wanted to meditate, you too could connect with that energy or somebody else that has inspired you. Maybe just go in sometime in your meditation and imagine that you're talking. Make believe that you are talking to one of the people that has inspired you in life, or that you look up to, or that you would like to be with, like to be like. And then as you're like them, why don't you invite them to be with you? Why don't you have them be your imaginary friend for a day? Remember, make 2022 or whatever year you start, any moment of your life, make believe it's already beautiful, already perfect. And then act from that space and see what happens. I bet you it will be incredible. And with that in mind, I just want to tell you a couple things that we have coming up. We have coming up on January 22nd, we have the Empower Summit here on Soulivity and Aspire. And there are many incredible speakers, and I will be there. I am going to be speaking about living your vortex. And that's about staying aligned in the higher frequencies and living from that space so that you can create the life that you want and you can access that throughout your day. And then on the 27th of January, we begin our next Consciously Awesome Gnostic Adventure. And that's really going deep into the process of how to live from that space, teaching you how to align with your own higher knowledge, your own different frequency levels, and also to be able to access and communicate with loved ones who've crossed over, as well as master teachers. Take make believe and imagination to another level on the frequency that I talk about, which is the vibrant new earth energy, where metaphor just comes to life and we create. So we have a lot coming ahead of us, and I'm excited to join you in this year as we create together and watch what unfolds. A year of serenity and harmony. What could be better than that? So now let's go make believe.